Hello Stampers! I've got a spring card for you today. I'm so happy spring is just around the corner, and I'm about as happy as this little guy hopping around. So we're going to be using the Playing in the Rain stamp set from Stampin' Up. Just a super cute set that has this rabbit and a turtle and a fox and clouds and rain and such. It's a rainy set, but it's not a depressing set. How about that? So Playing in the Rain is what we're going to be using, and I teamed it up with the Flowering Tulips from Stampin' Up. This is a beautiful tulip set with lots of lovely sentiments. So I thought it would be cute to have those tulips in there and our little rabbit hopping around amongst them. So we're going to get going on this project. I'm going to take you through it step by step, and I'm going to have all the dimensions for the card down below this video. Just click show more and you'll see them down there, along with all the links to the products. It'll take you directly to my online store where you can shop with me 24/7. So I'm going to start with a basic white panel that's 3.5 by 4.5, and we're going to start putting our background in, and I'm going to start with Saffron ink and a blending brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little yellow here, a little yellow there, just a few spots. Okay, I want this the sky to look multicolored in pastel colors. So that was So Saffron. Next I'm going to bring in some Blushing Bride. Again, I'm just going to add a few spots. And I'm only kind of working on the top 2/3 of the panel. The bottom 2/3 is going to be where our grass is. The next color I'm using is Balmy Blue. Again, adding some spots in here. See how that multicolored starts happening. I think that just is so spring-like. So there is our sky. And I just love those pastel colors. Okay, and for our grassy area, I'm using Parakeet Party. Again with a blending brush. And I'm just going to blend some of this in here along the bottom. Okay, so there's the Parakeet Party. And I'm going to bring in a little bit of Old Olive. And this Old Olive I'm going to bring from the bottom, and I'm just going to kind of swipe it up the cardstock. It kind of gives you the look of grass. And I'm kind of doing this with the brush. There we go. And now I'm going to stamp our flower heads. So I have the smallest little flower in the Flowering Tulips set, and I'm going to stamp it using Highland Heather. I'm going to stamp it 3 times. I put one up here, one there, and I'm kind of keeping them off to the side because I want plenty of room for our rabbit to be hopping around. So there's my 3 flowers. Again, that was with Highland Heather. And then I'm going to bring in some Old Olive. I'm going to stamp the stems. Now this stem is just a long piece here, and you can curve it on your block to be whatever shape you kind of want it in. So I just have it curved there, and I'm going to add the stem. Put one over here, and I'm going to want to mask, I think, a little bit here. I'm going to mask the bottom inch of this with just a Post-it note, because I want a shorter stem than what this is. So I'm just going to add my little stem there. And then when I remove the Post-it note, it's a short stem. Okay, and I think I'm just going to leave this on, and I'm going to stamp my leaves. I'm going to stamp them also in the Old Olive. And this is the smallest leaf in the set. Kind of add some in here. Kind of coming from the side. And I only got like half a leaf on there, which is fine. And then I think I'll turn it this direction and put a leaf there. So there's our leaves. And see, when you remove the Post-it note, it's like coming down to the ground, which is fine. All right. So now let's do some coloring on those. And I'm going to use, this is Dark Flirty Flamingo. I'm just going to add this to our flowers here. You can use whatever color tulips as you want in this. I decided to do these bright pink tulips. There we go. And for the leaves, I'm going to use light Old Olive. I'm just going to color in the leaves real quick. And there's a white area on the stem. I'm just going to color that in also. This I'm just going to bring down even. And so easy to color. Okay, done coloring those. And now we need a rabbit. I'm going to set this aside, and I just have a piece of basic white here, and I'm just going to stamp the rabbit on it. And this piece is 3 by 4. You probably don't even need that big a size. This was just a scrap I had laying around. And I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black to stamp our rabbit on this white cardstock. I don't think this rabbit could look any happier. Happy, happy, happy. Okay, now it's time to color him in, and I used that Memento Tuxedo Black just so that I could use my Stampin' Blends and don't have to worry about them smearing, running, and all that stuff. So I'm going to start with his fur, and I'm using an ivory Stampin' Blend marker. And I'm just going to color around the outside of his ear. I'm leaving the inside of his ear white because we're going to color that in pink in a minute. I'm going to put a circle around his mouth and nose area there because I don't want to color that in. I'm going to leave that white. Because if you look at some rabbits, their face is kind of much lighter around their mouth and stuff. At least this little guy's is. Coloring his little legs. I don't worry about the puddle. We're not going to use the puddle in this scene. So there's his fur, and that was ivory. Now I'm going to add that Dark Flirty Flamingo that we used on the tulips. I'm going to also use it here for his inside of his ears. Okay, and I'm going to use the light soft suede here, and I'm going to add just a little bit of shadow here on his ears. So the bottom section of his ears, I'm going to add some of that light soft suede. And I'm going to add it here, like right where his neck is. And then I'm going to use it at the bottom of his feet, the bottom of his legs, to add that shadow there. Okay, now for his little jacket, I'm going to use light balmy blue here. And I'm just going to color in the jacket entirely with this. Again, his jacket could be like any color. You can make it a girl by making it like pink, or make it neutral by doing green. Then I'm going to use that dark balmy blue. And I'm just going to add some shadowing in here. So the bottom of the arms and then along the sides of the jacket. And then I'm going to add some like right under where the collar is. All right, and then I forgot the nose. So we're going to use that light soft suede that we were using earlier. Just going to color that nose in. And there's our little rabbit all ready to be cut out. And I'm just going to use my paper snips here and quickly cut this out. I'm going to just fussy cut it, and I will be right back. Okay, I have my rabbit all cut out. Super cute little guy. And now I'm just going to add him to my little scene here, and I'm going to use multi-purpose glue for this. And I'm going to put him on so he's kind of up in the air a little bit. And on a little bit of a tilt. So I'm putting him on like at a tilt this way. And I kind of have that foot flat. Okay. And then I'm going to take a basic black marker. This is the Stampin' Up marker, but it's a dark black. And I'm going to use the fine end. And I want to just make some dots here to show some motion. So I'm starting at the middle of the, right underneath his foot, right in the middle. I'm making my first dot. And I'm just going to make dots here coming down, right? And I'm coming down to, about a fourth from the bottom. Then I'm going to start coming up, and I'm making like an arch with them and going off the page. And that gives some motion. It's so simple to do, and it adds so much to it. Okay, so there is that, and now I want to add some white gel pen to this scene. I'm just going to add a little to the tops of these tulips, just a little bit, kind of break some of that pink up. Make it look like maybe the sun's shining on them and hitting them. And then for the stems, I'm going to like come down one side, and the leaves on just one side. Just a little bit of white or a little bit of shimmer. And this is a Signo white gel pen, and I just picked it up at Amazon. Now I'm just going to add some groups of little white dots in the grassy area. And I'm doing this really quick because I want them to look like little flowers, and I don't want them to look symmetrical. There we go. And now our scene is complete. So now we're going to start putting our card together. This is a quick card. So I'm going to take a 4 by 5 1/4 basic white panel here. And I cut 3 strips of designer series paper. I'll show you the paper that I'm using. This is the Fancy Flora 6 by 6 designer series paper. I have a link to it down below, but it has all these great like watercolor type, they almost look like they're painted with oil paint. There's just some beautiful, I mean, look at some of these. So pretty. So that's what I'm using. I just took a piece of that and I cut some strips. I cut 3 strips and they're a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4. I'm just going to add them to the front of this white cardstock. And I'm doing this before I attach the white panel to the card base. So that if I have something that's off, like my strip is a little too short, a little too long, I can just trim that up with the paper trimmer. No problem. But if you've already got this stuck down on your main card base, that would be a little difficult to do. So it's always good to put these little strips on first, because you might be off just a hair. I'm just leaving about 1/8 of an inch in between these strips. There's 2, and I got 1 more to put on. There we go. Then I'm going to add my little main panel here to it. And I'm going to put this flush with the right side of the panel. There we go. Boy, that bunny is just so happy. So there is our main panel on there. And now I need a sentiment piece. And I just have a scrap of Saffron that we're going to stamp on. And I decided to use the Oh Happy Day stamp and Memento Tuxedo Black for this. So I'm just going to stamp this image down in the corner of this Saffron cardstock here. Then just take a pair of scissors and just cut it out. You could use your paper cutter for this also. So there's our little sentiment piece. And then I'm going to add this to my panel also. I'm going to add it right above those little hop marks. I want to make sure you don't cover those up. So there's our front sentiment for it. And then I have a Saffron card base here, and it's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I folded it in half to create my quarter card. And I'm going to put this on the outside, just center it up on the front. There we go. And then for the inside, I have another basic white panel. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And if you know what you're going to stamp on it, I stamp on it before you put it in your card. I'm not sure what I'm using mine for yet. Okay, so there is our card all finished except for one thing. I just thought it'd be cute to add a little bow. So I'm just taking some of this Whisper White crinkled seam binding ribbon. I'm just going to take a little length of it here. Tie a bow with it. And I always try to get my bow before I tighten it up. I make my loops as small as I can, especially if I'm making a smaller bow. You can keep working that, you know, pulling those legs till you get the size of bow you want. That looks good to me. And I'm just going to cut these little legs here. And I'm going to add this to my card, and I'm going to use a mini glue dot for this. And I'm just going to take that little glue dot and I'm going to kind of roll it up to where it's like looks like a line, and then add it to the side of the bow that I want it on. And I'm going to put it on the stem of that flower there. There we go. Just to add a little bit of something more there. A little embellishment. So there is our card for the day. I hope you enjoyed this project and that you're ready to make some spring cards. Thanks for joining me today. Toodles!